Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Guruve Saranam, Shri Bhoga Potri. Hi everybody. Today, in this session, we will see some interesting facts about how a human cell forms into an organism, different types of human cells, and its characteristics as well. What is a cell? I'm sure all of you understand. Like an atom, the cell is the basic, structural, fundamental, and functional unit of life. The basic functions are the cells provide support and structure, it helps energy production, it facilitates growth during mitosis, helps in transportation of energy, blood from the various streams of the body, helps in the process of reproduction, and actually in all other activities as well. What are the types of human cells? There are bone cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, motor neuron, intestine cells, ovum, sperm cells, immune cells, egg cells, fat cells, epithelial cells, muscle cells, etc. What is tissue and what are its types? Tissue is a group of cells that have similar structure and that function together as a unit. The picture is actually self-explanatory. Like different types of cells, we also have different types of tissues like the blood tissue, bone tissue, epithelial tissue, cartilage tissue, adipose tissue, nervous tissue, muscle tissue, the connective tissue. What are cell organelles? The cellular component are called the cell organelles. They coordinate and function effectively for the normal functioning of the cell. A few of them function by providing shape and support, whereas some are involved in the locomotion and reproduction of a cell. Cell organelles and their functions, just to name a few. You have plasma membrane, which is nothing but the protective outer layer of cell, which allows certain needed things to enter into the cell. Cytoplasm, the watery part inside the cell where everything just floats. Nucleus, brain of the cell. It controls the activities of the cell, contains genetic material, DNA, chromosomes. Nucleus is surrounded by nucleus membrane, which controls what goes in and out. Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell which produces energy. Golgi apparatus. It is made up of sacules which sorts, packages and transports the proteins like hormones. Endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes cellular material. Ribosome or ribosome involves in protein synthesis, helps in making the proteins. Lysosomes, structures containing enzymes that break down unwanted material. They also kill bad bacteria. Vacuoles are membranous sacs for storing things. Some examples in the pictorial representation is provided of the cell organelles. A very simple example of atom, which is the smallest or the tiniest part of anything. An atom can neither be broken or created, right? So a group of atoms become molecules, that becomes macromolecule. Group of macromolecule becomes the organelle, which in turn becomes the cell, and then the tissues, organ, many organ systems, and finally becomes the organism. The diagram on the right explains better, like, H2O, which is hydrogen atom, combines with oxygen, becomes water, which is a molecule, that is one molecule of water. Group of water molecules together become the nucleus, which is the organelle. They form this group of organelles form the cell. Group of cells form the tissue, which is a nervous tissue, for example, and that forms the brain. Brain controls the entire nervous system of the body, which actually is nothing but the human or the organism. Cells in the human body number in the trillions and comes in all shapes and sizes. The tiny structures are the basic unit of living organisms. Cells comprise tissues. Tissues make up organs. Organs form organ systems, and organ systems work together to create an organism and keep it alive. Each type of cell in a human body is specifically equipped for its role. Cells of the digestive system, for instance, are vastly different in structure and function from cells of the skeletal system. The function of each cell is actually unique. Cells of the body depend on each other to keep the body functioning as a unit. There are hundreds of types of cells, but the following are the 11 most common. Let us see in detail as we see the names of these common cells. The stem cells. Stem cells are unique in that they originate as unspecialized cells and have the ability to develop into specialized cells that can be used to build specific organs or tissues. Stem cells can divide and replicate many times in order to replenish and repair tissue. In the field of stem cell research, scientists take advantage of the renewal properties of these structures by utilizing them to generate cells for tissue repair, organ transplantation, and for the treatment of diseases. Stem cells are pluripotent cells that have the potential to become any type of cell in the body through the process called differentiation. Stem cells have the ability to divide and replicate themselves for long periods of time. There are two types of stem cells: embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. The bone cells. Bone cells are the type of mineralized connective tissue that comprise a major component of the skeletal system. Bones are made up of a matrix of collagen and calcium phosphate minerals. There are three primary types of bone cells in the body: osteoclasts, osteoblasts, and osteocytes. Osteoclasts are large cells that decompose bone for resorption and assimilation while they heal. Osteoblasts regulate bone mineralization and produce osteoid, an organic substance of the bone matrix. Osteoid mineralizes to form the bone. Osteoblasts mature to form osteocytes, and osteocytes aid in the formation of bone and help maintain calcium balance. There are four types of bone cells in the body, which we just discussed: osteoblasts, osteoclasts, and osteocytes, and the lining cells. Osteoclasts are large multinucleated cells which are involved in bone resorption. Osteoblasts have the opposite function. They are involved in the generation of a new cell. Osteocytes can sense mechanical strain being placed on the bone and secrete growth factors that activate bone growth in response. Lining cells line the surface of the bone and are responsible for the release of calcium from the bone into the bloodstream when it flows too low. Now comes the third types of cells, which is the blood cells. From transporting oxygen throughout the body to fighting infection, blood cells' activity is vital to life. Blood cells are produced by bone marrow. These three major types of cells in the blood, the red blood cells, the white blood cells and platelets. Red blood cells determine blood type and are responsible for transporting oxygen. White blood cells are immune system cells that destroy pathogens and provide immunity. Platelets help clot blood to prevent excessive blood loss due to broken or damaged blood vessels. Red blood cells are known as erythrocytes and are the most common type of blood cells. They are shaped into a biconcave disc. The main role of blood cells is to transport oxygen around the body using hemoglobin. White blood cells are known as leukocytes, are a vital component of the immune system. There are five different types which fall under two main categories, granulocytes and the agranulocytes. As suggested by their names, granulocytes contain granules in the cytoplasm as agranulocytes do not. Granulocytes include neutrophils, eosinophils and basophils. Agranulocytes include lymphocytes and monocytes. Platelets. They are the fragments of cells rather than true cells, but are vital in the control of bleeding. They are fragments of large cells called megakaryocytes. They have surface proteins that allow them to bind to one another and to bind to damaged vessel walls. The fourth type of cell, the muscle cells. Muscle cells form muscle tissue which enables all bodily movement. The three types of muscle cells are skeletal, cardiac and smooth. Skeletal muscle tissue attaches to bones to facilitate voluntary movement. These muscle cells are covered by connective tissue which protects and supports muscle fiber bundles. Cardiac muscle cells form involuntary muscle or muscle that cannot require conscious effort to operate. They are found in the heart. These cells aid in heart contraction and are joined to one another by intercalated discs and allow for heartbeat synchronization. Smooth muscle tissues is not striated like cardiac and skeletal muscle. Smooth muscle is involuntary muscle that lines body cavities and forms the walls of any organ such as a kidney, intestines, blood vessel and lung airways. Some examples. There are three types of muscle cells known as myocytes in the human body. These types are skeletal, cardiac and smooth muscle. We just discussed. Skeletal and cardiac muscle are also known as striated due to the aligned arrangement of myosin and actin proteins within them. Actin and myosin allow muscle contraction by sliding past one another as described by sliding filament theory. The fifth, fat cells. Fat cells, also called adipocytes, are a major cell component of adipose tissue. Adipocytes contain droplets of stored fat, that is triglycerides, that can be used for energy. When fat is stored, its cell becomes round and swollen. When fat is used, its cells shrink. Adipose cells also have a critical endocrine function. They produce hormones that influence sex hormones, metabolism, blood pressure regulation, insulin sensitivity, fat storage and use, blood clotting and cell signaling. There are two types of fat cells, white fat cells and brown fat cells. Sexual reproduction is the result of the function of two different types of sex cells called gametes. Male sex cells are commonly known as the sperm cells or spermatozoa, and female gametes are known as eggs or ova. When they fuse together, fertilization occurs and the zygote is formed, that is, the formation of the baby, either human or animal. The sixth is the skin cell, the largest in the human body. There are many different types of cells in the epidermis, that the top layer of the skin. The epidermis contains many types of cells including keratinocytes, melanocytes and Langerhans cells and Merkel cells. The skin is composed of the layer of epithelial tissue, that is epidermis, that is supported by a layer of connective tissue, dermis, and an underlying subcutaneous layer. The outermost layer of the skin is composed of flat squamous epithelial cells that are closely packed together. The skin covers a wide range of roles. It protects internal structure of the body from damage, prevents dehydration, acts as a barrier against germs, stores fat, and produces vitamins and hormones. The seventh type is a nerve cell. Nerve cells, commonly known as neurons, transmit information throughout the body in the form of electrical signals or nerve impulses. Structurally, there are four specific regions: the cell body, dendrites, and the axon and the axon terminals. You can see in the diagram. Neurons can have multiple, two or one dendrite, which makes them multipolar, bipolar, or unipolar respectively. Neurological cells, more commonly known as glial cells or glia, are cells of the nervous system that modulate synaptic action and rate of impulse propagation, provide a scaffold for neural development, and aid recovery from neural injuries. There are four types of glial cells in the central nervous system: astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglial cells, and ependymal cells.